Hey, this is Jake Sherman with Punchbowl News. We're calling this Five Questions With. Today we have Congressman Josh Gottheimer, Democrat of New Jersey. All right, Mr. Gottheimer, let's talk about what you're trying to achieve. You're in this, let's call it a tussle with your leadership over strategy on the budget and infrastructure. You want your leadership to pass the infrastructure bill before the budget. Tell me why.
Well, I think as the president said after this great historic once in a century bipartisan infrastructure legislation passed out of the Senate, he said, send it to my desk as soon as possible. And I think it's with good reason. We've got to get shovels in the ground. You're talking about 2 million jobs a year for the next 10 years. If you're in Jersey, where I live, a third of our bridges are unsafe, third worst roads in the country. We've got this tunnel between New York and New Jersey that's literally 113-year-old and crumbling. So from my perspective, we should get this done. It's a great win for the country. Obviously a great win for Democrats, and we should move it along, and there's no reason why we should hold it up.
So I guess we're going to do a few more than 5 questions. This will be 1B, I guess, or 1A. You are afraid if this doesn't get passed now, then what will happen?
I think one, you've got great momentum, and as you know, you got 19 Republicans in the Senate behind this. You've got the AFL-CIO and the Chamber of Commerce and others out there supporting it. And I'm hearing from home how much they want us to get this done. So when you take the risk of waiting months, and you've written about the fact that this could take many months to get a final reconciliation package done, that's a risky move when you have so many jobs on the line and obviously a real need for infrastructure. So my biggest concern is just making sure we get this done, and I don't understand why we would hold it up. There's no reason why you can't vote on this and then, of course, move full steam ahead with the reconciliation package.
Now, your detractors, and there are just a few of them, would say quite simply, you never intend. Your goal here is to kill the larger reconciliation package, the 3.5 or whatever trillion, however many $1 trillion package that comes later along. Was that right?
I've heard that. I don't understand that at all. I know there's plenty in there that I think is going to be critical to my district. Obviously, we're going to debate the size and scope and revenue raisers, but I've said no salt, no dice. I'm talking about salt forever. So I know the best way to salt is through that package. So and things on the climate are critically important. And obviously, I'm a big believer in helping seniors get through Medicare, hearing and vision and dental. So if you ask me, I think there's plenty of priorities there that are critical. This is just a question of doing exactly what the Senate did, voting first on infrastructure, then voting on the budget resolution, which I believe will get the votes and move that forward if we go this way. And then we'll have the debate about what should be in there. And it's going to be a hearty debate, but that's good. That'll lead to the best policy, and I'll see how it affects my district and make decisions. But the bottom line is, I don't understand. It was good enough for Bernie Sanders. Why is it not good enough for everybody else in the House on the progressive side to say, let's do this? And so I don't really understand that perspective.
So Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, said she was going to try to create a rule, which most of our viewers and readers know what that is, that would tie together the budget and the infrastructure bill. So you vote once on it, you can bring both to the floor. Your response was basically, or your group, you and a number of other House Democrats, 8 others said, not really, thanks, but no thanks.
We're not necessarily opposed to having the voting on that rule necessarily. I mean, some maybe, I don't know. We didn't ask about that with each other, but the bottom line is, it doesn't change our position. Is right. Let's just vote on this infrastructure package and get that that win done for the country, and then we can move immediately once it's in law. Like move immediately to move forward on reconciliation.
Because you could still vote for that rule. You could still vote for that rule, and then. It doesn't, you could vote against the budget if you don't get infrastructure first. That doesn't mandate that you have to vote for the budget. So your original position seems to be basically unaffected by that play.
Totally, and that was kind of put out a statement last night, just confirming our consistent position, which is we procedurally appreciate moving forward that way, but the bottom line is we still need to vote first on this infrastructure package, and again, given the jobs and the fact that you're talking about everything from climate to broadband, to roads, bridges, and tunnels, to transit, to Amtrak, to the grid, right, to electric vehicles. It's a great historic once in a century package and the president wants it on his desk. So, let's just do that. And then again, there's nothing holding back from that. The next hour, starting to debate the budget resolution.
Yeah, I found it to be a curious play because it doesn't seem to impact. I mean, just because you're creating a rule that brings both of them up doesn't mean you have to vote for both of them. I didn't quite get that. Now, what do you think when you hear $3.5 trillion budget? You said the size and scope will be debated. I mean, that's a lot of money.
I mean, I've said publicly that I think that's aggressive. What I'm going to be concerned about in the end is what's the exact number for the policies that we're talking about, what's needed, and studying each. The way we kind of looked at the infrastructure package when the Problem Solvers Caucus started working on that with the G20, the group of senators, in the spring, we started by looking at first, well, what should be in the scope of physical infrastructure, and then we said, well, how much do we really need? So you look at experts, and you kind of build the number from what you need, not taking a number and going backwards that way, right? You need to build it up, and I think we need to look at each priority and decide what's needed urgently, what can we afford as a country, and then what are the revenue raisers? And that matters a lot for me, given in Northern New Jersey here, things are really expensive, and I think taxes should be lower, not higher. We got to make things more affordable for people. So I'm going to look at the totality of impact on my district, and I think I'm sure a lot of other people will follow the same approach. So that's how I'm looking at it. I'm not really responding to a number. That number does seem aggressive based on the back of the envelope that our team has done. But again, I'm going to really want to go through the process here. And we should really, this is a serious investment in the country. We should have good committee hearings, and we should actually bring in experts and look at this and do this the right way.
Yeah, to me, I mean, it seems, I mean, this is just my analysis, but this bill's not going to end up at $3.5 trillion. Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema suggested they'll never vote for anything at $3.5 trillion. I don't know if they said that directly, but that was certainly the message and what they were saying. And so it seems that will end up lower at some point anyway. So that what you seem to be saying lines up with the reality. And I'd like to say you have to govern with the government that you have, not the government that you want. And I don't think $3.5 trillion is going to, based on what they say, doesn't seem like a reality. Anyway,
this is why, by the way, Jake, to the other point, Jake, like, government, you talk about governing. Part of this is on the infrastructure, showing the country that indeed we can govern. And that's why I think we'll ultimately work this out. I'm not worried about it. I think we'll.
How do you work it out? How does that? Because a lot of people, have said, okay, what's the end game here? And I don't know what the end game is. I don't know. I mean, I understand what you want, and I understand what Pelosi has said, and there's not much in between there,
Yeah, I think we'll figure it out. I think there'll be an agreement we can come to.
What does that look like in your view?
Well, I'm love to negotiate with you publicly, but I think we'll do that. We'll do that somewhere else. But I'm sure I'll be in touch with you as soon as we as soon as we come to an agreement.
Yeah, I hope so. Okay, so two more quick questions. 2022 should be if history is any indication, should be a tough year for House Democrats. You have $10 million on hand, so I'm not sure it's going to be a tough year for you specifically. But I guess you never take anything for granted. If you sit here today, if you were counseling your colleagues, what is the message that you think would work in 2022?
You're right. We still haven't seen redistricting here in Jersey or elsewhere, so you don't really
anywhere, right?
We're going to line up. So I think, but either way, as you say, history shows it's going to be a tough year. I think the best things we can do is to show that we're doing our job, which we are, which is passing things like this infrastructure package and helping people directly. And of course, I always believe, we're going to look at the economy and the shape it's in, and COVID, I think, is going to be a big factor here. And I think the president has done a phenomenal job responding to the conditions he inherited and getting people vaccinated in the country. And now we're just trying to get as many more people, the last mile of folks vaccinated. And if the economy continues to be strong like it has, I think it's going to really help us. So knock on wood there for the sake of the country and for jobs. And all these factors are going to matter, including getting this infrastructure package done. And then the next package will matter as well, with what we do on reconciliation. So all those things will matter, but I believe strongly in the all politics is local axiom. That to me is the most important thing, and getting out and about and just having breakfast at a local diner here this morning and talking to folks about what's on their mind on infrastructure and
New Jersey's
how
the
things are
capital
going.
of diners, isn't it?
Come on. Well, first of all, it's God's country. And part of why it's God's country is because we've got the best diners in America, the best pizza, the best bagels, Springsteen. We've got all the natural resources you could want and more.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Okay. Now, you were on a call yesterday with the Secretary of Defense and Secretary of State. Obviously, a quite tragic event, turn of circumstances, not an event in Afghanistan where the Taliban now controls the country we've been a part of for the last 20 years. Do you have any reflections on what you heard or what's going on?
Well, I think we all agree it's the images we're seeing are horrific, and there's no way to sugarcoat that. I think what matters now, and we talked about this on the call yesterday with the Secretary and the Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State and Secretary of Defense, is making sure that we are able to get American personnel out of there as quickly as possible, safely, as well as those who've been key to to our fight there, and making sure that we are able to get out those who've helped us safely. And that should be our number one priority, is keeping that airport protected, which we're doing right now, and helping people. And obviously there's questions that we'll have to look at, but obviously a very, very disturbing day yesterday.
Yep. All right, Congressman Josh Gottheimer, thanks a lot.
Thanks, man. Good to see you.